This is how I got my dismissive avoidant ex back. Hey, I'm Coach Benny, and I help people get their exes back. And before I did this, I was a dating coach for 5 years where I had to pay attention to how to create attraction in other people. I used that experience to help you get your ex back. So yeah, Coach Benny had a dismissive avoidant ex. And that's really how I got into dating coaching to begin with, because, I didn't know what attachment style was back then. I got my heart crushed into a million pieces and all this kind of stuff. And, I started hitting the dating world hard after that whole instance. But, in between there, I actually went no contact and got my dismissive avoidant ex back. Yeah, so at the time, I didn't know what attachment style was. I thought maybe something was wrong with her in terms of maybe she had BPD, maybe she was bipolar. I didn't know exactly what was wrong, because I knew on many levels she was this great, amazing person, but also there was a lot of problems there. So essentially what happened to me was, I met somebody brand new and things took off really fast. And, we moved in at 2 or 3 months, something like that. And we ended up living together for about a year and a half before, finally she ended up breaking up with me. And it was this slow decline of the context of the relationship. In the beginning, she wanted to get married. She wanted all this, commitment. And over time, she was making little statements that showed that she was getting less serious about things. And ultimately speaking, she ended up cheating on me with her boss, and I think maybe some other people I just never found out about. But I think that those behaviors was really her, escaping the intimacy in the relationship. She didn't know how to bring up problems for resolution, so she would kind of like act out. And, it definitely wasn't one-sided. But I was left in this situation where, for a little bit, I moved into the basement, to try to create some space. And then that didn't really go anywhere. And I knew that I needed to go into true no contact. So I ended up moving out into my parents' basement for a while. And I went no contact for a month or two. I can't remember exactly how things happened, but I did end up re-attracting her. I remember getting on my first date with her once again. And it was so hard because I had to pretend like I didn't miss her, that I didn't want to talk about all the memories, that I didn't want to try to, break down emotionally and beg her to get back together. I wanted to do all those things, but I didn't. And I put my best foot forward. I put on my game face. I made her laugh and smile. And we started to go home together, but she actually broke down on the drive home, for us to go hook up. And she called it off. And I said, hey, no worries. Just, let me know if you change your mind. And by not putting pressure on things, I just gave it space. And, later on that week, she came back around and we saw each other again. Now, I don't remember how long I waited to, ask to get back together, if she asked me to get back together right away. But it wasn't long after that where we were a couple once again. And we stayed together for another maybe month or two or something like that. And eventually she dumped me again. And what happened was we went to the pool together and we sat down next to this lady. She wasn't particularly attractive or anything like that, but I was making small talk with some lady. And she dumped me later that night, saying that because she didn't feel jealous when I was talking to that woman, that she knew that it wasn't the right relationship. But at that point, I had already gone no contact. I re-attracted her. I did everything I was supposed to do. And she was still pulling away. I could tell there was some emotional availability problems. I was losing faith. So I said, hey, you know what? Fool me twice. Shame on me. Shame on you. But third time ain't going to happen. So then I started dating a bunch. But all of this was in ignorance of attachment style. I didn't know what that was at the time. So if I was educated about, where this comes from, for example, emotional neglect in childhood, if I knew how to talk to them and how to approach conflict and all these things, maybe things could have been differently, but my life actually ended up turning out to be way better with my next partner. But I think the takeaways here are no contact works. Focusing on fun works. Avoiding conflict during the attraction phase works. And also, I think it just helps to know that not only am I giving you advice to get your ex back, just like I have with many other people who've actually gotten them back, but I've actually been through this myself and done it for me. And if you want my help with this process, click into my profile, click this link, set up a call with me, and tell me your story, and I'll give you a step-by-step game plan to get your ex back.